Members of this committee, please turn your attention to the video screens.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace, as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
Did you all catch that? That wasn't a MAGA Republican or some hardline voice from Texas. That was none other than Bill Clinton himself back in 1995. Seriously, take a moment to let that sink in. What Troy Nehls just pulled off in that committee room is one of the rawest, most unfiltered moments we've seen in a long time. He basically held up a mirror to the Democratic Party and forced them to confront how far they've drifted from where they once stood. There was a time when Democrats talked about strong borders and standing up for American workers. That used to be part of their core message. But today, it feels like they've completely abandoned that ground. And let's be honest, if someone like AOC or members of the squad heard Clinton say that now, they'd probably be trying to shut him down before he even finished speaking. Stick around, because what comes next in this video only turns up the heat. You're going to want to see how the rest of this unfolds.
As the video was played, everybody was clapping in that chamber. If I were in Congress in 1995, I would have also stood. Because I wasn't, I stand here today. Other than President Donald J. Trump, the greatest president in my lifetime, with the most safest and secure border, I believe President Clinton understood just how important border security is to our nation. But boy, oh boy, have times changed. 28 years later, the left has gone off the rails. They've gone completely nuts. They've done just the opposite of what the leader of the Democrat Party, President Clinton, stood for on border security in 1995. This committee's ranking member, he was in Congress in 1995. I assume he stood. It seemed like the majority, if not all of the entire chamber, they stood. Matter of fact, Mr. Clinton delivered his speech in the third year of his first term. And he was reelected in 1996. He beat Bob Dole, won by over 8 million votes, won the Electoral College 379 to 159. He had the support of the American people, and I'm going to assume the ranking member also voted for Bill Clinton in 1996. We have two other members, Ms. Jackson and Ms. Lofgren. They were both freshmen at the time. I will assume they stood during that powerful speech as well. And do you know why they supported and voted? They voted for legislation in 1996 strengthening our immigration laws. I applaud them for that. So what's changed, folks? What's changed with the Democrat Party? I'll tell you what's changed. If you wouldn't have heard President Clinton's voice or seen his face, you would have thought Donald Trump delivered that speech. I don't believe that President Clinton was called a racist, a white supremacist who hated immigrants, as the left and the dishonest media has painted Donald J. Trump to be. I have a report from the Heritage Foundation titled, Tracking Movement of Illegal Aliens from NGOs to Interior of the USA. Why do you think NGOs have moved illegal immigrants to 431 of the 435 congressional districts? The truth is, hear me, it's because the Democrats' progressive policies are not acceptable to Americans. Heritage obtained a sampling of approximately 30,000 cell phones that were tracked to NGOs along border states. They tracked approximately 22,000 devices at 20 NGO locations in January 2022. The same devices were later traced to 431 separate U.S. congressional districts, and of the 52, with the highest rate of tracked devices. 71 of them were Republican congressional districts. The report revealed that. It's not a coincidence, folks. The flood of illegal immigrants means a continued rise in surplus laborers. That surplus drives down the wages of existing middle-class and lower-class job holders until they leave the job forces, and then they're forced to go on welfare with the hopes that they will become loyal supporters of the...
Unreal. Absolutely unbelievable. Take a second and really think about what we just watched. Troy Nehls stood right there in front of the same crowd pushing today's border policies and played their own words back to them. That's what made it hit so hard. Did you notice that clip? Back in 1995, Democrats in that room weren't just agreeing, they were applauding. They supported deportations. They backed border enforcement. They openly said illegal immigration was a strain on taxpayers. Even the language they used back then would cause outrage today. Fast forward to now, and it feels like a completely different party. Today, if you argue for stronger borders, you're immediately attacked, labeled, and dismissed. That contrast is exactly what Nehls was highlighting when he said that if you closed your eyes, it could have sounded like Donald Trump speaking. He wasn't exaggerating. The message itself hasn't changed much. What's changed is who's willing to say it, and then there's that report he mentioned, tracking thousands of devices and raising questions about how organized everything really is. That's where the debate gets even more intense. Is this mismanagement or something more deliberate? People are drawing very different conclusions. What really fuels the argument is the idea that these policies impact everyday Americans, jobs, wages, taxes, and also affect legal immigrants who followed the rules to get here. That's where a lot of the frustration is coming from. Nehls clearly wanted to force that conversation into the open. And whether people agree with him or not, he definitely got attention. The bigger question now is how people interpret all of this. Has the party shifted too far, or is this just part of a changing political landscape? Curious to hear your take. Where do you stand on it?